really want your safeties. Yo, what is up, everyone? Thanks for joining us. Another post game. A lot more fun of a post game than yet last week's, that's for sure. Oklahoma wins, beats South Carolina in South Carolina, 26-7 at Williams-Brice Stadium. First off, Dad, fantastic queso.
Thank you.
Sausage, everything was fantastic. It was great. Tierney, we didn't get to watch the game together. You were with your parents over there checking on your mom. What did you think of the game? And then just overall, good win. Good way to start. Josh, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's kind of funny to see on Twitter and stuff. Like, apparently the defense isn't that good. They missed a lot of tackles. I saw where they did miss a few, obviously, but when you're playing the guy like Lenore Sellers, it's not very easy to just get him down every time you have an opportunity to.
Well, did they miss many outside of Lenore Sellers? Because, I mean, if you know who Lenore Sellers is, he slips through a lot of tackles. You still should have gotten some sacks there. I'm not misplacing that, but you've also got to recognize where you're just playing against a dog. I mean, it's different when you're going against a guy like that, or like I was kind of teasing you a little bit today, Chad. Posting on, hey, look, there was a missed tackle, cut up field for good yardage here by Isaiah Satania, and then Deion Brooks said, look, we got playmakers, because you were sitting here last week. We don't have any playmakers.
Yeah, dude, it's nice to see him do that.
And you do have, like, other teams have a lot of guys that just break free for a big touchdown, or they break free for a big first down, whatever. But it is different when you're going against SEC defenders, and so I do think that's one thing to take into some consideration. But I was more or less kind of giving you a hard time on social media today, but we saw more of it today.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I thought it was a great game, man. I knew when we started running the football like they did. I thought we'd win the football game. It was impressive to finally see them get some blocks, find the holes, and get positive yardage. Any game that you play, the run game's so important, and we struggled all year with it, and we finally got another 100-yard rusher out of it. And I think Xavier came in, and I think that's real important to our offense, because he's an SEC back to me, and he's the one that always gets yardages when he touches the ball. So I was really pleased with that. I think all in all, we're not perfect, but by any means, but we're going in the right direction as long as we stay healthy.
If you would have told me that at one point we had more rushing yards than South Carolina did total offense, I would have thought you were crazy.
No, for sure.
Well, and
I think we've averaged 120 rushing yards all year, and we got 50 more than that today.
Just crazy.
And 80 of which were like in the first half. So.
Well, there's that comment too. Thunder OU Sooner said Oklahoma has 171 rushing yards, and Mateer only had 14 of them. I mean, it was finally a game too where, and I kept on yelling at the TV too, like, stop running outside. You're not going to run outside zones. You're going to have to run that inside on this defensive line, because they got guys like Dylan Stewart. I know he was out for most of the game, came back in, went back out, but they still have dudes on the outside, on the exterior of their defensive line. Stop running at them. Go on the inside and bounce it out around. Once they get inside, you can get behind them on the inside, and they finally started doing that with Torrey Blaylock. You saw it even on his big touchdown run. It looked like more of a design inside the tackles, but everything got pushed inside, and he was able to bounce outside to go for it. So it's getting inside and attacking that weak part of their defensive line, which even when I was talking to Chris Marler on Tuesday, he said, like, this interior of the defensive line is terrible. You guys won't have a problem running on them. And that's exactly what I was hoping for. And they took advantage of it. And then getting Xavier Robinson 11 touches today. You need that. And then you had Torrey Blaylock run for 19 yards. Guess what happens when you get guys? I understand the whole, we don't have production, so we're not giving them more touches. But how are they going to get production if you don't get them into some sort of rhythm? And you finally got them into a rhythm today. And I really hope that Ben Arbuckle and this offensive staff doesn't go away from that just because they don't see the same production against another better defensive line.
No, that was the biggest thing for me, at least, was just finally, I think, now correct me if I'm wrong, I think that He tied his. Was he not? Did he not rush for 101 at Temple? Or
Yeah, he did at Temple.
So he tied his career. He tied his career high.
But a much better opponent, though.
But a much better opponent. Yeah.
And he had a really good game too. I think he was seeing things really clear today. He was being patient and finding the hole. I felt like his touchdown run was one where he just kept on being patient, stutter step, find a hole, stutter step a little bit more, bounce to the outside, hit the edge and take off running. And then he had a couple other big time runs too, where he was really patient back there and doing something. And then Xavier Robinson on his first couple of touches right before an injury break, he ended up touching the ball 2 times and getting close to 30 yards. He had 29 yards on those first 2 that he had. So I liked the way that we attacked where we knew that their team was weak. And again, you allowed these guys to get some sort of rhythm. You didn't give Xavier Robinson 2 touches and Torrey Blaylock 9 touches. You gave them higher double digits on your lead back, which is Torrey Blaylock, and it should be. And then you gave Xavier Robinson something to work with too. And it's something that I really hope they keep on driving home on and not just letting go. I hate the whole we're not seeing production, so we're not going to give them the ball argument. I don't like that argument because you're not going to get production if you don't get them rhythm. Get them in rhythm, and every once in a while they'll break free for a 10, 12-yard run, and we saw that today.
Defense also got their second safety of the year.
Yeah.
I get people. It's funny. It's like the whole point of defense and the whole point of keeping track of missed tackles and a bust and all that is just because those are indicators of how many points you're liable to give up a game. And it's like when you give up 7 points, it's hard to say. There are obviously improvements you can make, but if you're going to miss tackles and stuff and only give up 7 every game, it's like you take it. But obviously there are some things you could be better at. Did you see anything that really stuck out to you in terms of like, this was just bad today, or is this something they're going to have to go back in and for sure? I haven't watched the film yet, obviously, but
it's kind of hard. The only thing when they scored the touchdown, we did let off that guy was wide open, but when they jump and they hold and he has to hold the ball that long, that's going to happen. But other than that, I really didn't see anything that was glaring because I was clapping and yelling at the TV that we were, getting pressure and making him feel uncomfortable, stopping the run there most 90% of the game. And, and when we're running the football, I'm like, oh my gosh, So, yeah, I was really impressed. And it's fun to relax at the end of the game and we're not on the edge of our seat. Just, are we going to win the football game? We knew we were going to win. It was an enjoyable game to watch. I think we got better. And like Chad said, I'll just have to look at the tape to see if there's anything that glaring. But the only thing, you're got an NFL quarterback that's 230 pounds and he's hard to bring down. I'm sorry. That guy's a great athlete. You can't take anything away from him. And he's running for his life, and that's what we wanted to happen.
This is a wild stat. Listen to this. Defensive comparison. Oklahoma 66 tackles, South Carolina 66 tackles. Oklahoma 48 solo tackles, South Carolina 46. The difference, tackles for loss. Oklahoma 13 for negative 63 yards, South Carolina 3 for negative 14. Both had 1 pass breakup to 2 for South Carolina. QB hurries, 7 for Oklahoma, 4 for South Carolina. 6-1 in sacks for negative 53 yards, Oklahoma, and then negative 11 for South Carolina. Kind of a weird how close some of those. The exact same number of tackles is kind of wild. Oklahoma remains perfect in the red zone for the year. They're 23 of 23, I believe. They were 20 of 20 coming into the game. So when they get to the red zone, they're at least getting points on the board, which is always great to see. And Sandell again.
I kind of teased my wife because I saw Robert Spears Jennings shoe his cleats before the game, and I was like, oh, look at that. He's going to have a big game. He's got those fancy cleats on.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he leads the team in tackles. He's all over the field. I feel like he had a pretty good game. He had the one missed tackle that I think was on their long 35-yard run, if I remember right. And but outside of that, I mean, he had a really good game, solid game. So I was kind of teasing about that, but the fancy shoes must have helped him out quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. How are y'all seeing the game over there?
Now, one thing I like that Josh mentioned is how we finally got our running backs in a rhythm because, again, and I feel like I reference this a lot, but like I played basketball, and as a shooter, that is one thing you had to have is to be in a rhythm. So if you had coaches that would yank you after every missed shot or if you missed 2 shots, like you're not going to make anything because you're never going to get into the flow and rhythm of the game. So I think the first series, I don't think Blaylock even left the field.
No, we didn't.
I think he was there the whole time, and we saw like the benefit of that is he was getting yards, he was getting into the flow, and he ends it with a good running play, which heck of a block by Caden Helms to be able to get into the end zone on that. So that was something that I really liked seeing, was that we were sticking with just those two. And it wasn't even, I mean, we were letting them have more than one chance. It wasn't like, okay, your turn. Okay, now your turn. Okay, now your turn. It was just sticking with them. And that's one thing that I really liked seeing there. Defensively, most of the stuff I was fine with. I was annoyed at the end with the missed tackles. But again, like, I know that Sellers is shifty and tricky, but I'm, perfectionist. But I mean, overall, I think I said the final score was Oklahoma 26, South Carolina 0, SEC officiating 7.
And, to your point too, it's like, yeah, the SEC officiating. It is insane how bad they are. Right? I mean, is it not?
And they're bad all over the place too. I don't think it's just Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just Oklahoma. Oklahoma got away with some holding. It wasn't quite as blatant. I was trying to count it too, and I just stopped counting because it was too many. But Oklahoma got away with some holding here and there, and it was a lot of like interior holding. They were getting away with stuff where it's like you're grabbing from behind Robert or R. Mason Thomas from behind him and yanking him back, which causes Lenora Sellers to get a first down run, stuff like that. And it was just, I saw that a lot. I know Auburn's gotten screwed over with Kirby Smart calling a timeout, not calling a timeout. There's all kinds of stuff that I just feel like the officiating has been extremely bad. And then I know we were talking about that too with the Lenora Sellers left foot steps out of bounds right on the line to gain. That was the only angle that you really got any kind of indication.
Yeah.
And so I felt like, if anything, ruling on the field stands, but they still called a first down. I was kind of questioning that. And I haven't looked back to see, maybe there was a different angle that's like, oh, okay, he did hold it forward. There was also the one with John Mateer where they started spotting it backwards and then no review or anything, and they just spotted it forward. And then also at the end of the half, Oklahoma should have got a defensive delay game, 100%. You can't keep on shoving the guy down.
They were just trying to get up, Josh.
No,
That's trying to get up.
Yeah, that was definitely shoddy. Some shoddy work and the officials are right there. You got to call that. I'm glad they didn't. I'm not going to complain there.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah,
it was definitely a delayed game.
I think that Mysterious Black and who was it? Shane had a good exchange here. They were just talking about they didn't play. Shanae said they didn't play perfect, but it was a great response after last week. And then Mysterious Black says true, but at least they took a step, and we'll have a ways to go. But at least there are some positive. I think that's important too, is remembering like we just wanted to see them come out and at least establish some sort of identity offensively. And for those wondering, you had 27 passing plays to 40 rushing plays today. So they obviously came out with a goal to rush the football and to establish something and really kind of get their two running backs that these are the guys we're going to be featuring the rest of the season. Jay Knott's pretty much done, I guess, for the year. He didn't even get a carry. Taylor Tatum would have been better off not getting in the game because now he has a negative rushing yards on the year. Run rush for -1 yard. So it's a weird that was, kind of odd. I guess you got to get someone in there at the end. But overall, I think that you saw a huge improvement in just being able to not just have to say John Mateer go make every play for us right now or on offense. And I thought, he obviously missed some throws. He had some drops too that hurt him. Satania drops that one, obviously. He had some other drops too. Got really good to see Giovanni Gibson starting to get some consistent targets. And I think the more that he can get going, Gibson, he has a different body type than what we have anywhere else. And I think he can really be a guy that is he had to go. I think he can really be a guy that is a good fit, that our 50-50 ball. Like we need a guy to go up and just make a play here, kind of receiver.
Yes, I agree 100%. Johnny Gibson is important to our offense, and we need to get him involved a little bit more. And he's a big body, and that's one when you're your second one or even third and long, you just throw it long and it's a 50-50 ball and you hope you get a pass interference. We've seen it happen to us many times. And he's that big body that can happen for us. So I'm excited to get him back. I think we're going in the right direction. It was a great game to get confidence with our offensive line and our running backs and our quarterback not having to run to win the game. You know what I mean? So, all in all, it was good. And it was good for the fans, and I can't wait to see next week and how we respond to the win today, and have a good response come this Saturday. That's going to be important.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, I'm just trying to prep people, and I said it earlier. I remember Josh a few weeks ago. I said Ole Miss, Trinidad Shambles is going to be a problem when they come to Oklahoma, And now he doesn't have the physical tool or the strength that a Lenore Sellers does, but he is as shifty as anyone I've seen since Kyler has been at the quarterback position. And whether or not that translates, look, I hope it doesn't. I don't want us to listen. I'm not one of those that wants to be right at the sake of OU. I hope he comes to Oklahoma and looks ridiculous. I'm in a bad way, ridiculous. And I would love that. But, I mean, I'm just saying it doesn't look good. I was just going to point out the drives for our defense because for the second week in a row, and people talk about the Texas game going back there like they dominated our defense. They really didn't.
No.
That you only give up 1 touchdown and 16 points. You take that every single game you play.
Yeah.
And they start off, they get a turnover on downs. You go, and then it's a punt. They do get a touchdown off of one of the worst punts you've had all year because we're afraid of their punt returner. We rugby punt it for no reason. I get why you're trying to, but dude.
And then the reversal of the 4th down to the 1st down.
Yeah.
The false start they didn't call on the 4th down.
Yeah.
Then 2 holdings
Yeah.
following that is what allowed the touchdown. So that was a whole cluster.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The big punt return that they had too was like almost identical to the Texas punt return. If you go back and watch that, there was at least 1 holding and 2 blocking the backs that I saw on a quick replay.
Yep.
And just, I mean, it's stuff like that. That the reason why Oklahoma, and I know a lot of people were kind of blowing this out of proportion, but the reason why Brent Venables sent in that clip and said, "Hey, SEC officiating, you missed blocking the backs," is so that it doesn't happen the next week. And what happens? It happens the very next week.
Yeah.
And I
We got a
was
block
talking to Brandon Drum. What was that?
We got a block in the back called on us though.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, and yeah, whatever. It happens. But I was talking to Brandon Drum about it. Like, I think Oklahoma should have gone for it on that 4th down, that first 4th down, and then they ended up punting it, and you basically only saved like 10 yards on that by punting it because of the penalties that backed you up and everything. Just go for it. Your offense was on a roll. They just kind of got stalled out there because of a penalty. They were on a roll. You're up near midfield. I think they were on the 35-yard line, but your defense is so on fire. Just show confidence in them and say and in your offense and say we can get a yard. We can get a yard.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like that play call to end up punting anyways. And then you take the delay of game, which was, I think, intentional. And then you had was a false start right after that. So just little things too. A lot of critiques that you can do, but I love being able to critique a team that wins by double digits and covers the spread.
Yeah. Yes.
Covered again. They were fantastic. They it seems like they, especially offensively, if they can start running the ball like that consistently, they'll be tough to beat for any team because their defense is just so
Legit.
they're legit good.
Well,
and
before we got the safety, how many times have you said if OU can score 24 points, we should be
Win
able to
every-
win every game?
So.
And I agree with you, Josh, when you've said I don't know a team that'll score. I mean, obviously it'll probably happen because Alabama's good offensively, and there's going to be one of those weird games that you can't predict where like a fluke thing happens and they get points that way. But like for a team to just drive on us 3 times to get 21 points, it's just hard for me to see unless you give them good field position.
Are you confident? Would you put money on any other team in the nation scoring 20+ points on Oklahoma? Because I wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't.
You?
Texas's offense didn't score 20 on Oklahoma, so don't give me that. Because I had Texas fans trying to come in with that. They didn't score 20 on Oklahoma.
No.
They scored, what was it, 16?
16,
on Oklahoma?
Yeah.
And so again, and that was with a horrible offense, an offense that had no heartbeat. So just give me an offense with a heartbeat with some sort of pulse, and this defense, and we can win against any team in the nation. I believe that. It's just I don't think they're going to, because I think they are going to have bad games like they did against Texas. So I do want to say to Oklahoma fans that kept on hollering at me that because I think they were doing the same thing to you guys, where we were all on here just talking about. I understand there's a lot of frustrations built up. You have to beat Texas and all this, but you can't just throw in the towel on this season. That was an off game for this offense specifically. And even the defense didn't play well against Texas. They played decent. There wasn't anything to be like, oh, that defense was bad, but they didn't look like the same old defense that we're used to. And sure enough, what happens the very next week? Oklahoma performs even better than what even some of us, I guess, optimists or sunshine pumpers were even predicting. So I just
Josh's tweet was literally like, "Hey guys, we're 5-1. We might not want to throw away the season." In the comments were just like, "You're such a sunshine pumper. You don't want to say anything wrong." And he was like, what is going on right now?
I just said we might still be able to win like 8 or 9 games. Hold on, like might still have a decent season that we're like, all right, we're building.
Right. Also, how many like predictions, preseason predictions had OU losing to Texas, but still winning, 9-10 games? It's like even some of your own predictions, you predicted this loss, but when it happens, it just. And I understand, like I wanted to win too, but we said in our post game, and I mean, all of us said like we played like crap last week, like period, end of story. Like, but we're gonna take that as it being the exception, not the standard. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I think there is something to like all losses in context, right? I think when people said that originally before the year, they thought Texas was going to be really good. Texas wasn't. We should have beaten Texas. They weren't this great juggernaut team that we all thought. But also, it's like I thought LSU was going to be a loss for us. I think LSU's very beatable now. I thought
Very
South Carolina. Remember preseason, you were like, "This is the game that scares me more than anything."
Yeah, South
Because
Carolina was scary.
So it's like all give and take to where now Texas, if their offense comes alive, their defense is really, really good. I mean, it's really good.
Yeah.
And if their offense starts clicking, I mean, they'll be one of the better teams out there.
I think our schedule's set up to win more games. I mean, if we play like this, because we have a lot of our tough games at home, and I know we go to Tennessee, but that's a game that people aren't thinking we're going to win, which I think we can. But
I think so.
But most of our home games that are tough that we've got to win, we're fortunate that it's going to be at our stadium, and I like those odds if we keep getting better and better in the run game and more efficient on the pass game. And our defense plays like it did today, we will not lose. We'll go to the playoffs, basically, is what'll happen. But I'm not going to be the sunshine guy, but I'm just being positive here. You know what I mean?
There's one game that I look at that I say I don't think Oklahoma's going to win, and that's at Tuscaloosa.
Yeah,
Yes, I agree 100%.
That's the only game that I say I don't think it's going to pan out. That's a team that I just feel like going on the road to Tuscaloosa, this offense may look similar to Texas, maybe a little bit more lively.
Yes.
They might be able to score 15 to 20 points, but
Yeah.
Alabama might get some things going their way and win because of that environment. But then, I think Ole Miss is still beatable. I know they look really good, and I think that's going to be probably the number 2 toughest team on the schedule. Tennessee on the road. It's on the road in Knoxville, but I still think Oklahoma's the better team. I think as long as this defense shows up and the offense does something, I don't see how. So I do think 10-2 is on the table. 9-3 still gives Oklahoma that hope. And I know I was talking to Chris Marler, and he said, "Hey, don't, as a South Carolina fan, don't count on that." And I said, "I know, I get it, but it still gives you hope that you're there, and 9-3 still gives you hope, if not for this season, looking forward to next season."
I agree 100%. In the SEC, basically, is what you're seeing is field position is such a big deal, and we saw that today when they had a short field, they ended up scoring. We know how they scored. I don't think they should have, but it made a difference. And when we got punts and we had great field position at one time, we ended up going down there and putting points on the board. So I really think. In the SEC, our special teams have got to really, really show out here on out. And when we punt the ball, we've got to cover. And I've heard this before, 100 times as a coach. You have a great punter, and sometimes he outkicks the coverage, and that's when you have the run backs. And you got to, a lot of times hang time's better than the length. And if he can just get that thing up in the air, make them fair catch it, we win every time. So I know I talk about that a lot, but it's really important to our football team that our punt team covers, and he gets a little bit more hang time on that thing. And so we're not all nervous about a run back, because that does change the football game, as we saw last week.
Well, and when he does get that hang time too, you saw that with him and John Mateer both punting it inside the 10-yard line, inside the 5-yard line.
Like Jake Crane said on that interview, the only time I ever want to outkick my coverage is when I married my wife.
There you go.
Also, we both did that, didn't we?
Also, Georgia and Ole Miss have an old Big 12 game, 21-17. Ole Miss up right now. They just scored again. So, you're going to see if you hold them. I mean, Georgia's not terrible on defense. They're not known to be bad. So if they come to Norman and they're not scoring it, I think it just further validates what we believe in our defense for sure. And look, there's going to be games where I do believe that, you're going to have a game where the deep offense scores 30. Maybe you have a 21 game late or 21-24 game late, and your offense has to go put it away. I again, like I'm with you. It's going to be hard for me to see a team just – unless it's like a pick six or like something where they're giving points. But like you're saying, just 3 straight touchdowns where you drive it straight down the field each time. You may get us once.
Yeah,
You may get
and
us it's hard for me to see 3 in a row.
Yeah, when I said that too, I'm being specific about I don't think an offense can score on our defense. Yeah, and so obviously things like, Texas's punt return will happen on Oklahoma, or maybe a pick 6 will happen. And I will say there was a couple that should have been probably picked off today. I didn't think either of them were just like a bad throw from John Mateer. There was the one where I thought he made the right decision. Deion Burks wide open and he zips it in there real hard. The defender just made an incredible dive and got his hands on the ball. So tip of the cap to him. He definitely deserved that because, man, I thought for sure he was going to come up with it. And I was like, how did he even get there?
I thought he might have been. I thought he was a little late on the read, just on that throw, but it was a great play by that defender for sure.
Yeah, and I wasn't upset with him going there at all, though.
No.
So it was there. He saw it. He did just get it out a little late, and that might still be part of the thumb. Maybe the thumb is keeping him back from being able to zip it as fast as he usually does. So and I'm okay with that. If it's going to hold him back a little bit, but it's not hindering him completely, I'm okay with that.
Well, and I don't know if you heard BV talk about this or you did, T, but just going back to your scoring thing, he was like, it used to be where when you had these fast offenses, you would have, 20 drives or your 15 to 20 drives a game. He's like, now you're getting 10. And like you look at today, both teams had 12 total drives. He's like, defense has become so important. It's almost like we're now, there's such a emphasis on playing good defense and field position that there's not as many high scoring games. And for a team like Oklahoma, especially whenever you have a defense like that, I think it is. That's why the punter is so important. Yes. You've got to be able to pin them, and you got to make them have to drive the whole field because the more times they have to play, more plays they have to snap, the more opportunities for turnovers or big plays on defense.
Well, just as many when you get 3 turnovers versus Texas, that's another position they shouldn't have had. So that's another opportunity for them to score or move the football or take time off the clock if they're ahead. You take away those 3 turnovers last week, it's a different ball game, even though we're struggling on offense, but it's still different. It's 13, it's not 20. It may be just 10, but it makes a big difference. We didn't turn the ball over today, and I think that's a big emphasis too is let's just run the football. Let's do some safe throws. Let's don't turn the ball over. Let's let the defense play. And I think they just dominated South Carolina in a big way, and it was for me as a defensive coach, it was really fun to watch.
It really felt like a 45-3 type of game. It felt that way. And I might have the snap counts wrong. It looks like each team had 67 snaps. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. That's really low too for a game, it's just you think back to Oklahoma recent years, you go back to Lincoln Riley days, you don't expect that. And so I love that. And then the big safety, getting it was Marcus Strong getting back there for the safety. Of all guys, you got a backup to a backup getting in there and making the big play. So you love that. I feel like Taylor Wine has really been filling into his role. So that's another guy. Like you said, it was just the type of game that you'll love to see if you like defense.
How about the Mateer punt?
Yeah. inside the 5, baby.
That was
who caught it though to stop it at the 1?
Elijah Thomas, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was obviously the saver, but I was like, wow.
Same number of snaps, same number of tackles. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That is weird. And separated by 1.
Oklahoma had 6 more guys involved, whether it be an assisted tackle or a solo tackle. Oklahoma had 6 more guys involved on defense. And I think a big part of that obviously probably goes to putting in your 3rd and 4th string guys there late at the end of the game. But I like seeing that because you get the depth in there. But then also another huge stat that really stands out to me is Oklahoma owned the time of possession 33 minutes and 38 seconds. So, just pulling that extra almost, 6-7 minutes away from South Carolina. That's huge. That's half a quarter that you're able to pull away from them. And so, that's really what you need. And especially in tight games. Now, I do want to kind of keep us sunshine pumpers down a little bit by saying we got to be careful because this is South Carolina. They're not the top of the SEC.
SB plus ranking on defense. I know Dylan Stewart was out, but they have got. Sorry to interrupt you there, Josh.
No, you're good.
I'm just saying, like, they were 19th best defense, and you drive it on them like we did. Again, Dylan Stewart's out. I'm not gonna act like that's not a big miss, but sorry about that.
No, I was just saying that I know that South Carolina's South Carolina. They're not Alabama. They're not Ole Miss. They're not even Vanderbilt right now, which is kind of weird to say. But South Carolina, like you just brought up, South Carolina is still a solid team, and it wasn't, the score wasn't what this game says it was. It was kind of similar to, the Michigan-Nebraska game is one that comes to my mind, where Michigan owned that game. They dominated Nebraska, but they only won by 3. This is one where, again, it felt like a 45-3 type of game, but then the score only shows 26-7. So, I think there was a lot of good things that you could take away. There was also some mistakes that I think the coaching staff loves to be able to go back into film and say, hey, we can fix this, this, and that. Also, 10 penalties for 98 yards compared to South Carolina's 4 for 35.
You brought that up about, I think it was about just how many penalties we're getting recently, or like just how, and they seem to be just like on killer plays. And I don't know. I was listening to the Barry and Mac show earlier. Shout out to them if they're watching. I know Barry's, I've talked to him a few times on Twitter, but Damian, just with the EPL and stuff, he was like, he's like, they obviously, he seems like a talented guy and plays physical. He's like, but the coaches, football is such you have to have a good head on your shoulders and be able to react and be able to play with strategy. And if a player is struggling with making calls and the defense sees that with a guy like, and before the game, obviously you don't know injuries, but with a guy like Dylan Stewart, and they know a guy's struggling whenever there's a shift up front to pick up a blitz or to make the right. It's like that could be they'll attack that as much as they can.
Oh yeah, they're going into the game doing that. They're watching that film and they can see what we're seeing when we watch the film. So, they strategize on that. But that guy's a dog. I mean, when he blocks somebody, he gets after him. But you just don't know how much he's catching on to the calls from the center. He's giving those calls and stuff, and like bust. But boy, when he does block, he's the kind of blocker that I wished all of them were like. They're really getting after it, pushing them off the football and creating creases in there so those running backs can read it and get yardage. And really they did that today because they read it well and got a lot of yardage. I was just thinking back, you were talking about how many total plays, 67. As a coach, when we break that film down, we're going, oh man, it's only 67 plays. It's usually 80. 78, 80 plays back in the day when, everything was fast. And it's kind of weird to see that because it's kind of been happening every week, that kind of number going on there. But it's incredible how much different it is this year.
I want to say back when Jeff Levy was here, we'd have games of like 90-something snaps total. Yeah. It was crazy how high it used to be.
Well, and Lincoln Riley's days, I know for a fact that there was times when our defense was out there for 80 to 110 plays. And it was just, I don't know how Lincoln Riley ever thought that he would get any sort of competent defense. Because it's like you think back to Lincoln Riley's days, there were dogs on those defenses. I mean, Kenneth Murray.
Nick Bonito might be the best DN in the NFL.
Yeah, Okoronkwo, and like there was.
Yeah.
By the way, I wanted to look it up too, and maybe I can ask Parker. I'm sure he knows right off the top of his head. They had a guy named Okoronkwo on their defense. I wonder if he's related to Obo.
No, we looked it up. They're not.
They're not.
They're
okay.
Not,
yeah, I was curious about that because I just thought that was cool. But
we looked it up a different South Carolina game we were watching because she asked that exact same question to me. I was like, because it's such a unique name, you never see all
right. I wanted to ask you guys, and also to those watching, throw out your player of the game down in the comments because I want to see what you guys have. I felt like Kendall Daniels was the guy to me, just because he may not have the stats to show it, but you look at some of those third down and short, the goal line stand, I believe was him. There was a fourth down that he came in there and made a big stop. It felt like when he needed to be there on a big play, he was there. There was one where R. Mason Thomas had the stop with his arm. Kendall Daniels came in and cleaned it up, and I think that was on a third down and short. They ended up getting him for a loss.
Yeah.
To me, I felt like Kendall Daniels was my front runner. Outside of that, obviously, I think Torrey Blaylock could deserve it. There was a lot of guys that just went off and had a really good game. I think this was the opposite of what we saw with Texas. I don't think anybody had just like, at least on offense, I didn't feel like anybody really had like that incredible day.
Right.
But on defense, it felt like there was too many guys to pick. And I see Taylor Wine in the chat.
Taylor Wine had a great.
Yeah, that was another guy that I felt like he saved some big time plays too.
Well,
so
and what makes Taylor Wine so good and hard sometimes to give him MVPs and stuff is just because he does things that don't show up on a stat sheet really well. like the Ethan down, staying your assignment sound, doesn't really make the big mistake. And then he's there for the screen. He reads screens really well. He hustles. Like he got that sack or the tackle out like 8 yards deep whenever they we missed the tackle on number 8 Harbor, I think.
He got the interception, which could have been
Yeah,
By the way,
he did get the interception too, didn't he? I was just looking
the
that
punter
up.
just threw it without even looking at the
So,
play.
yeah, I mean, Taylor Wine, Kendall Daniels, and RSJ, those are my 3 top guys. I mean, I don't know who
why
else.
if you're going for it on 4th and 2 though, you just don't keep just keep Lenore Sellers out there.
Yeah, that was really dumb. Well, and then like how many times were they lined up on that 4th and short or even that goal line stand that Oklahoma ended up having where you keep on trying to run into this defensive line. Like up the middle too, of all things, like where Oklahoma is strongest.
Yeah.
If anything, do that play action and roll out with Lenore Sellers, give him some open space. I just felt like their play calling was really dumb. And then the Lenore Sellers needs to learn, whoever it is that's on their QB coaching staff, offensive coordinator, they need to get it through his head. When you're outside of the pocket, don't just give yourself up, dude. Let the ball go and just throw it away. Because there were so many times where he ended up taking a loss where he could have just thrown the ball away really easily. And it was just, I felt like that a lot of that just kind of fell into his hands many of the times.
Did I hear a stat earlier that North Sellers, or not Lenore, that Satanga had 3 total touchdowns in his 3 years at Arkansas? And I think he has, what does he have this year total?
3 this year.
3 this year?
4 now.
Okay. 4 now. Yeah. That's pretty sweet.
Did you guys see, I'm not going to take the time to look it up. Did you guys see the stat from last week? Lenore Sellers had 19 total yards on 22 attempts.
Yeah.
But he ended up running an accumulative of like 878 yards or something like that.
Cole Kublik did that stat. Yeah. He runs around so much
From,
behind the line.
Yeah.
He does. And it's just like, that's the kind of stuff. There were so many times today where he put himself into harm's way where it's like, yeah, your offensive line did bad by letting him back there, but you've got to know that an incompletion is much better than a loss of yards.
Well, get this. He had 14 rushes for -9 yards today. Now that factors in sacks, but I mean, he averaged negative half a yard a carry.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really bad game from him. I felt like he had some good plays and like his slipping out of tackles and stuff like that. But I just felt like he had a really bad game, regardless of what that offensive line did for him. I think he had a bad game.
No, I agree.
Speaking of offensive line, I know, I mean, perfect, no, but we don't have a running game without them. So we give them a lot of crap and flack and all the things, but I'm going to give them their claps today because without them, we don't get that running game.
No, you're right.
It was much needed, and hopefully that's maybe a confidence boost for them. But they're moving people. So,
well, in the first quarter, they had that big 35-yard run on a 4th down. They ended with 54 total rushing yards. That's the kind of stuff that I see from this team as a whole. You didn't see it against Texas. Take Texas out of the equation and just look at the rest of the 6 games now that they've played. This team responds. John Mateer throws an interception. What does he do? He gets pissed off and says, all right, let's go out there. Hey, that's on me, guys. Let's go out there and fix this thing. And he throws a dime. He makes a big time rush to get the first down. He pummels in for the touchdown to get him back on top. I've seen that several times from him. The defense does the same thing. They let up a big run. And what do? They slap each other on the head and say, let's get back at it. And they stop them. They completely shut them down in the run game. I mean, it was an incredible performance from this defense. I really, really liked what I saw from them.
For me, the reason why it was so big for them to get a running game going is I believe a lot in you have to have an identity on, which isn't like some crazy take. I know that's pretty basic. But what I think what I've overlooked, and I maybe other people do too, is that I think one reason our defense is so good, one is they're all familiar with each other. Most of them have been here and played with each other since BV has been here, right? And I think Stoya did a stat where of the 30 guys that have 30 or more snaps on defense, like 26 of them have been here for 3 years or more. Yes. And on offense, of the 21 guys that have 30 or more snaps on offense, I think it's like 6 have been here for 3 years or more, or something like that. It's a crazy number of difference in numbers. But I think being able to run the ball helps you have something that you can turn to. And like you're saying with Josh, with our defense, I think they truly think like we're a defense that should not give up a touchdown in any game. And it's almost like an affront to them when they give up a big play or where it's not a hang. Remember, like with the Alex Grinch days, you would see one touchdown and you're like, oh no. You could see the heads drop. You could see the body language change. It was a deal where you're thinking, oh, the floodgates are open, and it's been one touchdown. We're like here, it's totally different. It's like almost an offense to them that you've scored, and they're not going to allow it to happen. Where I think if our offense can finally get a running game going, where it's not just John Mateer run around and try to make every play, they can start to have that. It's like, dude, why are we not running the ball? And running the ball translates because it's physical work. Like you can out bully no matter how loud the crowd is. You don't have to have perfect timing and precision routes like you do throwing the ball. Running translates. So I think that if they can keep developing that, you start to get that backbone or a little bit of something where you can lean on and say, no, we're running the ball on you. I'm sorry.
Well, that also translates in your defense is fresh. And when they're on the sideline and they're getting to make adjustments on the sideline, they're getting to watch the film, the videos, which they get to do now than they used to not be able to. But in the Texas game, they never came off the field. It was like they're on the field the whole time, and everybody was upset. But my gosh, our offense wasn't getting them off the field, so they're fresh. And I've always said your best defense is your offense, and that's what it was today. I really think our offense took a lot of pressure off our defense, and when they got on the field, man, they pinned their ears back and they came after them. And I thought they had fun. You could see the energy and the fun, when they were making plays. I think it was a fun day for them.
Josh, sorry to cut in again. I do have two questions. I think either one for one thing that I am curious about. The BV, believes in this 22 starters on defense. Sometimes, like in the Texas game, like in basketball, you always wanted your best players out there in the key moments. Like at the end of the last game, it was Heineke and Omosigo instead of Kip Lewis and McKenzie. Where like today, I didn't think you saw that as much. And so for me, it's like I want to see a lot more of in these last few minutes. Maybe like I want to see our best linebackers out there. Like last week, whenever the final drive where Arch takes it up the sideline, you had your backup in, your number two's in, which it was just their drive. And some of that is it can go a little like sometimes you have to have your best players out there for the biggest moments. I mean, is that a crazy thought? Second thing I wanted to ask you. We hear a lot about the iPads on the sideline. Mm-hmm. How much would that have helped you back when you coached, or how big of a help is that?
I can't imagine having that because in high school especially, we never had it. And they have it now in high school. It's amazing. They have the 65, 70-inch TVs over there, and they're sitting down in front of them watching what just happened. That's a great teaching tool, and that's a big advantage to be able to have that. I'm not against it. I would have loved to have had that, to be able to make adjustments and changes and technique-wise what they're doing here and there. Instead of just hearing it from the player, you're seeing it firsthand, not secondhand, thirdhand, what happened on the field, because you don't get to see it till after the game, and that's too late. So I think it's a big advantage, and I think it's a good thing. And something else I think is good is that our quarterback and our captains have they can hear the play off the sideline. I love that change. I think it's really made the game better, and it's made it faster. And so all around, I really like it.
What do you think makes it better, like in terms of just being – why not just huddle up and get it just quicker, it's more efficient, more fluid? Or
yeah, it's a little quicker and more efficient. I think the fans are – how we are. We want things to happen now. We don't want to wait. And so it's kind of like baseball. They have the pitch clock now to get the game to move, and it's the same way in football. They're trying to make it a little faster. But I just – I really – And I tell you what, all this stealing the signals and all that stuff, I'm going to tell you, back in the day when I was at Oklahoma, we were trying to steal signals. I'm sorry, everybody does it. You get your binoculars on and you're looking over there and you're yelling down there, hey, it's a run, it's a pass, it's counter. You figure it out before the end of the half. And everybody did it. But that's okay as long as you're not going to another school, sitting in the stands stealing signs. You can't do that.
Say, wait, that's legal.
Yeah. Ours was legal. The other stuff's not. But that way you're not having to do that, and you're not having to do much signs. Defense is different. You do have to. I mean, he is signaling to that end. That's when you see those big covers where they can't. The guys at the box can't see what you're signaling in for the defense. And as you know, and all of them do it. We change. You change the call when you see the offense making an adjustment on offense, and you kind of know what it is. it's kind of weird, but you do once you get in the flow of the game, and then you change what you want to do on defense, and hopefully get your guys in a good position to make a good play.
And I think if we're upset with this offense by the end of the year, we just recruit Reggie Willits, the baseball offensive guy, because they were up 15-0 in the first inning in their scrimmage today against Texas Tech.
That's crazy.
And now up 18-0 for Texas Tech in the fourth inning. I mean,
side note, little baseball. I'm just curious. Are they going to be? They're going to be College World Series good? I'll just ask it like that.
I would think so, because I think last year they were really close. You know, they were just like a couple of mistakes away in several games. Like LSU, I think they would have won, two of those games in that series, at least one of them, if one thing goes the right way. So, I think they could be. And then I think Skip did a really good job in the transfer portal.
I've heard that, and I've heard, and just for those watching that don't already know, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but Josh is actual credentialed media guy for baseball. He covers a team for OU Insiders, right?
Yeah, that's my main connection with OU Insiders, doing baseball coverage with them. So
so
working up to be able to do more with them. But
Josh is clocked in on all that. That's why I was curious.
Yeah, no, the notifications were popping up, and I was like, that's got to be a typo, right? 15-0 at the end of the first inning. That is
crazy.
My dad was like, shouldn't they just cut you off after you get so many runs in an inning? Like, be like, all right, we're done. Get out of here.
Hey, talking baseball, where's Tatum fit in?
What was that?
Tatum, where's he fit in baseball?
He doesn't play in baseball. That's what's confusing to me. And
he's
so
not
I feel
playing?
No, and not really. I mean, he's on the roster, but like last season, I don't think he touched the field once. And so
he needs to stay in football then if he's not going to play. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's confusing to me how he's not bought in on one or the other. From what I've heard, it sounds a lot like he's just not bought in completely. And then, of course, some of the injury stuff is hampering him a little bit. But then on top of that, he's still fumbling the ball a lot in practice. And so that's a big part of why he doesn't get the ball, because we know that he can be an elite player if he could just hold on to the ball and have that commitment. I think part of it was that he kept on fumbling the ball, maybe gets into his head. Now he's not really out there being himself because he's kind of nervous of that. You know how much that can affect a player too when you just have one thing not going your way.
The fumbling thing's a real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a psyche. The thing that I was telling Chad, we were talking about him playing both sports. There's a difference in how you prepare for football than you prepare for baseball, and it's a strength thing. And if you're going to play a running back, you've got to have some good upper body strength to be able to hold on to the football, for one thing. Not them taking away from a baseball player that needs upper body, but it's a different kind of strength. And that's why I think, for him as a running back, he probably needs to make a decision on what he wants to do, because I think he could be an elite back for us, but I think he's going to have to put everything towards football to really be the guy that he wants to be on the football field, and that we want him to be too.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
I want to ask y'all a fun little question here to kind of wrap it up, if that's cool. T, I'm curious what your thoughts are. And I'm just assuming one of these is going to be open because I'm pretty sure we all think it is. I want to do head coaching position openings, and what do you think is the best job, right? And I'm going to say Florida because I think they're about to fire Billy Napier. Penn State, Oklahoma State, and again, factor in expectation, factor in the fans. Are they going to be happy if you have 8 wins? Are they, all, like, where would you want to coach if you're if you had the opportunity? So let's go Florida, Penn, in the comments too. What do y'all think? And rank these if you can. Or what do you think is the best? Florida, Penn State, Oklahoma State, UCLA, Arkansas. Those 5. I'll tell you what mine is. I think Florida is the best job out of them because you have the investment. You have Florida recruiting. They're gonna, it's you at least you have the brand. For me, Penn State would have to be 2, I think.
Yes.
Because if we're talking how much I get paid compared to what the expectation is, and then also compared to what I know I can kind of get out of this team to be able to stay alive, I'm going Arkansas.
That is true. I mean, you don't have to win a lot to be happy, to make Arkansas fans.
But also, Arkansas should have fantastic NIL. They have so many Fortune 500 companies in their state. That doesn't mean they donate to them, but I mean,
I've heard they spend most of it on baseball and basketball. Like a lot of it's, they're good at basketball. I mean, Josh, tell me if I'm wrong about the baseball point, but I know they're good at basketball, and I know they're known as baseball, right?
Yeah, I mean, there is no bad baseball program in SEC. It's
track.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the SEC baseball is like, it's tougher than SEC football for sure. So like there is no bad team in the SEC outside of Missouri. Missouri sucks. They're horrible. But I think Florida would be enticing, but I think there's just such a high expectation there.
Yeah.
Penn State's one that you can get away with winning 8 games and build yourself up, but I don't know how big of a job that is. Really, ever since the Joe Pa stuff, I feel like that one kind of fell off. But I will say real quick, just because I see that we've got over 600 people watching right now. For everybody watching, jump over to the YouTube channel, hit that like button, because I see only 13 likes on the YouTube video right now. So jump over there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And then if you want to help support us to keep on doing more here, because we're already giving Oklahoma fans Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and post game on Saturdays. That's 5 days worth of content, plus content produced every day. So become a member today for as low as $2.99 a month. Just hit that join on our main channel, or click the link down in the description below. And then, of course, we've also got merch. I know I've got my handy mug that actually has spilled coffee all over the back of it too. But I bumped my table earlier and just dumped it all over the place.
Schooner shirt on. I mean, it has voice of college football at the front though, but on the back is.
I mean, I need to start putting in the link whenever I move over here. For those, I always say, for those worrying about why are the ponies brown? It's called copyright, people.
The link should be there in the description. If it's not, I can fix that right now. So
one of my favorite shirts, Josh, I've actually had a few friends have me send them the link of the Baker Mayfield plant the flag shirt. It is awesome.
Yeah, the link is down there in the description. I guess I don't know if I see the link for the shop, but it's vocfb.com/shop if you want to get any kind of our merch and help support there. Plus, you get something in return, so I understand that. And then, of course, super chats, donations, all stuff like that, like in the chats. That just secures you getting your chat read live on the show. We will always read super chats, so that's always welcome too. But we'll have to change that. Make sure that our shop is put on there.
We should say we almost always read super chats.
We almost always read super. We try.
If there's some extreme ones, or language,
it goes without saying. If you say something ridiculous,
99.99%.
Yeah, so it will be read as long as FCC regulations would allow us to. Then we would read. So
there's some. I hope that goes without saying. I want to ask again another just question here. If you had to pick. This is just going to be so random. It's going to be hilarious. All right, because I've been asking a lot of just guests that we've had for interviews. Give me Oklahoma all time, and in the comments too. Drop a comment on YouTube. I know I hate begging. They really do help our videos, and it helps us in turn. So drop a like, drop a comment. I want us to go. You get one quarterback. You get 2 receivers, 2 running backs. All time at OU. Who are you picking for your college football team?
I can't even do that. I've only been alive for 30 years, and we've had so much history before that.
Yeah.
All right, let's go since 2000. That's not fair. Let's go since 2000. Hey, hold on. We got a new member. Shanae, thank you.
Hey, Shanae, thank you so much. Yeah, we appreciate that very much.
Is that too unfair to spring on people?
And I'm assuming
list off the positions just one by one for me.
Let's go one quarterback.
That would be Baker. I don't know who you pick outside of Baker.
Just
Kyler would be probably just because his running ability was so insane.
Yeah, Baker's not as fast, but he's probably just as, if not more, elusive. Plus, he's just got that dog in him. Kyler doesn't have that dog in him.
Dude, Kyler in college was a problem.
He was, but he doesn't have that dog in him. All right, so I'm picking Baker.
Baker's a great pick too. I'm not going to sit here and back Baker ever. So
and I mean, honestly, you could probably even go back to and Jason White was a phenomenal.
Before he got hurt,
Sam
Jason
Bradford.
White was a problem.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of quarterbacks.
Bradford's my favorite player ever at OU. But that's more like I just grew up in that era. He was
Jason White was the one that got me into Oklahoma football because I was still young back then. So
here's the problem too. Josh Heupel was underrated. Yeah. He could sling it, dude.
Definitely underrated for sure. Troy Aikman. Can we include him?
If Troy Aikman hadn't got hurt, he would have been unbelievable quarterback at OU.
Yeah,
because he could run and throw. They'd have won a national championship with him too. Because they were going to beat Miami with him at quarterback.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with Shanae here. Baker's the only quarterback I'd pick. We've had a lot of good ones, but Baker is all OU DNA. That's where I'm at.
Troy Aikman getting hurt led to Mel Holloway winning the national championship as a true freshman. The next true freshman to get an attempt was Jalen Hurts, who didn't do it. And then the next one to actually win it as a true freshman was Trevor Lawrence at Clemson.
Wow, he's pretty good.
Trevor Lawrence is a pretty good player. So was Jalen Hurts, to be fair.
Running back. It's hard for me to go.
All right.
Who are you running back?
Probably it's hard to go against Adrian Peterson.
AD is, I think, going to be everybody's.
Yeah, AD would be up there. Yeah, I mean,
If you're just
probably
going since 2000, I mean, Marcus Dupree, if you're going before then, was as talented as any of them. But he only
is
had
that what you were
years.
saying was just since 2000?
Yeah, because it was too far back with
Okay.
like and it's also like if you start getting into pre, it's like okay, well, Steve Davis, had one loss and won 2 natties and a national championship or a conference championship all 3 years. He was like 35-1 or something like that as a starter. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, 80s.
But that's like different. I think AD Kennedy, dude, Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon was unbelievable.
Joe Mixon may be the next for me is one of my running backs. He's still really good in the NFL right now. He could do it all.
Quentin Griffin back in the day, remember that?
I can send you guys a picture of I've got a drawing. I was trying to look where it's at. It's over on the wall that way behind the camera, but it's a drawing that I did back in my senior year of high school, and of Samaje Perine, and it's like him in the middle of the run that where he broke the 427 yards, and so I took it down to Norman and had him sign it.
That's cool.
So got a picture with him.
Let's not forget DeMarco Murray either.
Samaje had
William
a
Johnson
fantastic marriage proposal too. For anybody who remembers that.
Oh, he did. Kansas game.
I wish Murray would have Kyler Murray. I was thinking DeMarco Murray for a sec. I was
Kyler.
I think
That's what I thought originally, but then it clicked in my brain like, oh, Kyler.
Murray wasn't bad either.
DeMarco Murray's really good too. If he didn't get hurt, I still think we beat Florida.
We're picking 2 wide receivers.
Now Chris Brown 2 wide receivers.
Ryan Broyles has to be up there, right?
Ryan Broyles is up there. He's very.
We're going
good.
since 2000. Kenny Stills.
Receivers: Hollywood Brown.
Okay.
And Andrews. I'm sorry, he's tight end, but I'm picking Andrews.
You can go one tight end. That's fair.
Yeah.
You take him over Jermaine?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I coached Jermaine, but Jermaine's different. He became a really good blocker, steady guy. But Andrews is a threat as a receiver and a blocker. I think he's an all-around, really great tight end in the NFL, and he was for us too.
I think I'd go Broyles and CD. Those would be my 2.
I think that'd be my choice.
Yeah, CD's a good one.
And Andrews would definitely be my tight end. I think I'm picking him.
Yeah, I tell you, you said that CeeDee Lamb. There was a play that Satania caught, and I said, Chad, if that was CeeDee Lamb, he scored.
Yeah, for sure.
Satania made a miss, but I said CeeDee's.
I know which one you're talking about too. He rolled out to his right and came out, and I was like, oh, he can go, and then he just kind of danced around too much and got tripped up, and because
when CeeDee scored against Texas, remember when he made that little run in there and scored?
I use that picture all the time to point out to people like CeeDee Lamb was a problem. And then there was the one too against Kansas State where he got I think it was a jet sweep and he came running around and it's just clustered in the middle and somehow works his way and just figures a way out, like running back and forth through the field. And
it'll go viral like once a month at least, where it's like CeeDee Lamb made this dude literally he just literally jumps. And I think a lot of people forget how good Joaquin Iglesias was back in the day. It was Sam Bradford. He was cold, man. But Broyles was unbelievable. Mark Clayton was unbelievable.
Clayton was definitely one on my list.
Clayton was my first jersey.
Mark Clayton was really good too.
I mean,
CD is, I think, are going to be on everybody's.
Yeah,
Marvin Mims,
CD's hard to beat.
Marvin Mims was good too.
Definitely
and
up
Brown
there.
together was a problem.
Well, you had at one point. Now, maybe it was a year after, but what year did you have? Was CD a freshman whenever DD was there, or was that the year after that?
Yeah, I think he was a freshman when DD was there.
And that's when DD won the Blitnikoff, right?
Yeah.
That year? That's crazy.
And CD was
stacked on offense, man.
CD, when he was wearing number 9, was like, hey, this guy could be a problem. And then all of a sudden he switched to number 2 and he got jacked. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's really going to be a problem. And then you see him out here throwing guys on the ground and just one hand snagging the ball, juking guys out. I mean, he wasn't the fastest. He wasn't Hollywood speed, but he just had that route running, that awareness around him.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to beat CeeDee Lamb.
We got to get something to eat, and T, the young one is calling for food too. I think
got to feed for 2.
I want to ask just real quick before we end, and Josh, if you don't mind ending us off after my dad here. But Dad, you're going into a week in which you're playing a guy that's dropped 21 on Georgia at Georgia. He's just like Kyler Murray, kind of quick. What are you working on in practice all week, and what is your focus to make sure you're kind of bottling him up as much as you can?
I think you just got to everything's got to fit up front, and you cannot change a lot for one player. I think what we're doing on defense is exactly what we need to do against him. He may get some yardage, but you don't panic. You bend, but don't break. Make them kick field goals. Don't let them score touchdowns. And just be disciplined on your pass rush. Be disciplined on any kind of option. That's the whole key. And if we'll do that, and that Wine kid is the he would be the best one to do that on the end because he's so disciplined there. But that's what you got to do. You just do what you do. You don't let people change what you're doing, and you will game plan a little bit. But I wouldn't change anything that we're doing except you just know that guy's there and what he can do. Because Sellers could do that too. He's not as fast, but he's the same kind of guy that can get loose and make a yard large. But this guy here can go to the house that we're watching.
And Ole Miss, while we're saying that, just scored like a 60-yard touchdown.
With him?
Yeah, I was seeing that in your back here.
Yeah, he was just running right down the field. He was 75-yard touchdown return to Sean Tribley.
So that's
Josh,
28-20 now, right?
28-20, yeah. I'll let you end us off, man, if you want, or if you have anything else to point out or say.
Yeah, I think you play it smart. Yeah, I would think on defense you don't run as many heavy blitz packages as Brent Venables typically runs because of what Chambliss can do with his legs. I think when you run too many blitzes, that's kind of what you saw Lenora Sellers almost be able to do today. It's just that second level and second and that deep level even kind of came up a lot to make the play. What you have as a problem when you start to bring too many guys, when you start to bring 5 or 6 in there on a guy that can run like that, is you overcommit, especially on the outsides, and open up big old holes. You got to keep a spy on him, but also have that spy be that guy that's kind of in that coverage, which Brent Venables is also really good at, kind of mixing like a cover 6, cover 3, cover 2, like all in one play somehow. So I think when you look at this Ole Miss team, I guess that might be the offense that I say could score 20+ points on Oklahoma's defense.
Yeah.
So you gotta find a way to keep them under like 24 points, and I think this offense can score on their defense because I don't think Ole Miss's defense really blows me away.
Yeah, here's the thing. For me, it's a deal where I think South Carolina's defense, even without Dylan Stewart's very comparable to Ole Miss. I think it's better with Dylan. Obviously, we have Dylan Stewart. Yeah. It's a better defense, I think, with Dylan Stewart. That's why I was so encouraged seeing him run early and often like they did. The best way you don't let him score is you keep him off the field. Exactly. And if you can have sustained drives, 8-9 minute drives, 5 to 8 minute drives, it's huge. Like defenses rest, and then also theirs is on the field longer. T, last thoughts on this game?
I'm hungry.
All right, she's got to go eat. Josh, you want to sign us off and we'll close it out?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on X, or I guess I see you guys have it on Facebook as well. If you're watching anywhere other than YouTube, jump over there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Become a member today for as low as $2.99 a month. I will be live tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on the same channel. So join in. We'll do a little bit of more post-game thoughts after having a sleep to be able to think it over, look through the film real quick. And then, of course, we've got the Sooner Smiths with Chad and Tierney on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Tuesdays 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for Oklahoma Sooners Live, and then a preview game on Thursday. And then, of course, post-game. We are giving you guys a ton of content here as Oklahoma fans. So become a member today. Click that link down in the description below for as low as $2.99 a month. But I think that's all we got. We'll catch you guys next time. Boomer.
Boomer.
Sooner.
Sooner.